A question that haunts us all, dear friends. Have you ever paused to wonder why so many elderly people don't make it past 74? It's a number that seems to linger like a shadow despite all the breakthroughs in medicine, the fancy diets, and the fitness crazes flooding our screens. You'd think we'd all be living to 100 by now, right? But here's the kicker. There's one action, or sometimes the lack of it, that quietly decides whether those golden years stretch long and bright or fade into a whisper. It's not a magic pill, not a secret superfood, not even a grueling workout routine. It's something deeper, something we often overlook until it's too late. Stick with me, because today we're diving into this hidden truth. I'll share stories that'll tug at your heart, science that'll make you nod in realization, and a lesson so powerful it might just change how you see your own future, or the future of someone you love. If you're ready to uncover what could add years to your life or steal them away, hit that subscribe button, drop your city in the comments, and let's embark on this journey together. Trust me, you won't want to miss the end. So what is this mysterious action? It's not about how many steps you take each day or whether you've sworn off sugar. It's about connection, the ties we build with the people around us. I'm not just talking about a quick hello to the neighbor or a wave across the street. I mean the kind of connection that fills your soul, that keeps your heart beating strong, that reminds you you're not alone in this world messy thing called life. Science backs this up in ways that'll make your jaw drop. A 2023 study from Harvard, yes, the big brains up in Boston, found that elderly folks with strong social bonds live, on average, 22% longer than those who don't. That's not a small number, friends. That's years of sunsets, grandkids' laughter, and quiet mornings with a cup of coffee. But here's the flip side. Loneliness isn't just a feeling, it's a silent killer. Research from the National Institute on Aging says it hikes your risk of heart disease by 29%, stroke by 32%, and even dementia by a staggering 50%. Isolation creeps in like a thief in the night, stealing time you didn't even know you had left. But this isn't just about cold, hard stats. It's about what happens when we let those threads of connection fray, or when we weave them tighter than ever. Let me paint you a picture. Before we get to the stories that'll stick with you, let's dig a little deeper into why connection matters so much. Our bodies aren't just machines running on food and air. They're wired for each other. When we're isolated, our stress hormone, cortisol, spikes like a car stuck in overdrive. Over time, that wears down everything: your heart, your brain, your spirit. A study from the American Psychological Association even called loneliness as deadly as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. Wrap your head around that for a second. You wouldn't light up that many smokes and expect to waltz past 74, would you? On the other hand, when we're surrounded by people who care, friends, family, even a kind stranger who becomes a familiar face, our brains release oxytocin, the feel-good hormone. It's like a warm hug from the inside, lowering blood pressure, easing anxiety, and keeping us steady. Think of social connection as the lifeline of longevity, a bridge that carries us over the rocky patches of aging. But here's where it gets real. Not everyone crosses that bridge. Some turn away, not realizing the cost until it's too late. Let me tell you about two people I've known, Uncle John and Grandma Lily, and how this one action shaped their fates in ways I'll never forget. Uncle John, the man who faded away. Uncle John was the kind of guy who lit up a room. At 68, he retired from his job as a mechanic with a grin that said, "I've earned this." He'd spend hours tinkering in his garage, fixing old radios, telling stories about the cars he'd brought back to life. But when his wife passed a year later, something in him dimmed. He stopped inviting folks over. The garage grew quiet. His only companion became the flickering glow of the TV, night after night. By 73, Uncle John was a shadow of himself. His laugh, once loud enough to wake the neighbors, had dulled to a murmur. His steps slowed, his shoulders hunched. I'd stop by sometimes, bringing him a plate of cookies or just to chat, but he'd wave me off with a tired, "I'm fine, kid." He wasn't fine. Last year, just shy of 74, he slipped away in his sleep. The doctor said it was his heart, but I couldn't help thinking it was more than that. Uncle John didn't just die of a weak ticker. He died of a life that got too small, too lonely. He'd cut the threads that held him here, one by one without even realizing it. Grandma Lily, the woman who bloomed again. Now let me tell you about Grandma Lily. At 74, she was the opposite of what you'd expect. She'd lost her husband years before, and her kids had moved across the country. Most people would have settled into a quiet, solitary routine, right? Not Lily. One day she saw a flyer for a gardening club at the community center and thought, why not? She showed up with a pair of rusty shears and a smile, and that was that. Within months, Grandma Lily was elbow deep in soil, trading tips about roses with people half her age. She'd tell you it wasn't just about the flowers, it was the chatter, the shared cups of tea, the way someone would call her the Rose Queen and make her laugh. At 76 now, she's leading garden tours, her hands weathered but strong, her eyes bright with a spark I swear wasn't there before. She's not just surviving, she's thriving because she chose to reach out instead of retreat. A tale from the edge, Maria's redemption. And then there's Maria, a woman I met through a friend's story that still gives me chills. At 72, Maria was a recluse. She'd lost her son in a car accident decades ago, and the grief had built a wall around her. She lived in a tiny apartment, windows shut, curtains drawn, her only visitor the delivery guy dropping off groceries. Her health was crumbling. Diabetes, arthritis, you name it. And she'd tell herself, this is it, I'm done. But one day a knock changed everything. A neighbor, a young mom named Sarah, showed up with her toddler, asking if Maria could watch him for an hour. Maria hesitated. Why her? But she said yes. That hour turned into weekly visits. The little boy, Timmy, would toddle in, tugging at her skirt, calling her Nana. Sarah started bringing coffee, then dinner. Slowly, Maria's world cracked open. She began baking cookies for Timmy, sharing old recipes with Sarah, even stepping outside to wave at the mailman. By 75, Maria's doctor couldn't believe it. Her blood sugar stabilized, her joints loosened up. She's 77 now, still Nana to Timmy, still here because a stranger's knock pulled her back from the edge. So what's the lesson here? It's not rocket science, but it's not always easy either. Connection isn't something that just happens. It's something you choose, something you build, one small step at a time. And it doesn't have to be grand or dramatic. Here's how you can start right now, whether you're 50, 70, or anywhere in between. Pick up the phone, call a friend you haven't talked to in months. Don't text, hear their voice. Let the conversation wander. You'll feel the difference. Join something, a book club, a gardening group, a knitting circle, anything that gets you out and talking. Grandma Lily didn't know a soul at first, but she showed up anyway. Say yes. If someone invites you over, go. If a neighbor asks for help, give it. Maria's yes to watching Timmy wasn't just a favor, it was her lifeline. Be the spark. Don't wait for others to reach out. Knock on a door, share a smile, start the chat. You might be the Sarah in someone else's story. These aren't big moves, but they're mighty. They're the threads that weave a safety net under your golden years, a net that catches you when the ground gets shaky. Let me leave you with one last story, one that ties it all together. A few years back, I heard about a woman named Fallow who found a letter from her mother after she passed at 73. The letter was worn, the ink smudged, but the words cut deep. "My darling," it began, "I've lived with pain, with loss, but what kept me going was you. Your visits, your smile, they were my medicine. I wish I'd told you more, held you closer. But know this, every moment with you was a thread in my tapestry. Keep weaving yours." Fallow's mother didn't make it past 74, but that letter, it's a testament to what matters. Life isn't just about the years we rack up. It's about the bodies we weave through them. Uncle John let his unravel. Grandma Lily spun hers into gold. Maria found hers just in time. And you? You're still here, still holding the needle,